And today I will address two main questions, two simple questions that are the presentation of my thesis, the main results I obtained in part E, and for doing so, I will try to present to you four important questions for my research and the results that I obtained so far. I work in my thesis with Portuguese language textbooks, the experts the publisher that made them, and how through these Portuguese language textbooks, these publishers have participated in the how with this thing. How with these textbooks the publishers have participated in the high school debate in Brazil. And the first question for presenting my research is, what constitutes the high school debate in Brazil? I think it's not very clear to everyone, just it's very specific too. So when I talk about high school debate in Brazil, I am referring to a large discussion since the 19th century that I try to poorly picture here in this slide with some questions like, should high school education exist at all? If so, what is its purpose? Should it primarily prepare students for university or the workforce? Is high school experiencing a crisis? Well, different social groups and institutions have attempted to address and try until today. These are other questions, and I believe that publishers are one of them. And this leads us to the second important question, that is, how do the major publishers participate in these debates? Of course, they have different ways to participate in the high school debate, like producing pedagogical series, facilitating intellectual group meetings, engaging in direct negotiation with the political authorities. Actually, in Brazil, we have quite a few interesting works on how this political participation by publishers in the high school debate take place. But in my thesis, I am trying to go for a little less explicit way, because I'm trying to look at this political participation, social participation through the textbooks. And this leads us to a third important question, that is, a moment, please. What the role do textbooks play in the high school debate? Well, we all know that high school can be a very helpful resource for making points in educational debates, and it's not different in the high school debate in Brazil, because with textbooks we can advocating for specific pedagogical and methodology theories, implementing particular types of assessment, providing prefaces and other contextual elements where the author and the editor support and then can express themselves on some matters. But one more time, I'm trying to go for a little less explicit way, that is, find these positions on the high school debate in the way that Portuguese language textbooks teach language and writing. And finally, it leads us for a fourth important question, that is, why the Portuguese language textbooks and not, for instance, history textbooks, mathematics textbooks? Like all of them, Portuguese language textbooks are a valuable means of contributing to the debate surrounding high school education, but they have some unique characteristics, like their focus in the official language of the country, in the Brazilian case, the Portuguese, the fact that teaching language implies teaching ways of interacting with the world, and the fact that teaching writing is also teaching forms of relation with different kinds of power, like the political power, bureaucratic power, subjective power. What I'm trying to say is, when a Portuguese language textbooks presents a teaching object, it presents to a social practices. And I do believe that when we can analyze these two things at the same time, we can find some positions on the high school debate, because it's in a form to make points
in how the high school should be, shouldn't be, should structure, and etc. And to summarize my hypothesis, I would say there is a high school debate in Brazil. The major publishers participated on it through textbooks, Portuguese language textbooks. And if the research analyze the ways of teaching language and writing, it's possible to understand certain expectations by the publishers on this debate. So for doing this work, I analyzed two major publishers in Brazil that are very different in different times of the Brazilian history, but they are very similar in the sense that they were the major publisher in their time. And from each of these publishers, Companhia Editora Nacional e Abril Somos Educação, I analyzed 10 pairs of textbooks, Portuguese language textbooks, like these ones from Nacional, these ones from Abril Somos. And until now, the main results I obtained was regarding language conceptions. That is a very important concept in Brazil. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go further in this question, but I would say that language conceptions are the approach to understand and teach a language, or in a simpler way, how someone understands language when is writing a textbook, an official document, and something like that. So analyzing the regular features in the language conceptions in the Nationals and Abril Somos textbooks, I could identify some regularities, like the fact that in Nationals textbooks, they embrace the philological tradition, they acknowledge different varieties of the Portuguese language, but they dismiss the popular forms of the Portuguese language and then teach only the prestigious varieties of the Portuguese. And I question, what does this language conception imply for the high school debate? Well, high school for select few, primarily for university preparation. They mobilize traditional contents and methods, and the language approach is based on the criteria of purity, correctness, and elegance. In the case of Abril Somos books, they embrace the linguistics tradition, acknowledge different varieties of Portuguese language, but they describe the popular forms of the Portuguese language, but it's not a significant change for teaching different varieties of Portuguese language. They teach only the prestigious varieties too. And what this language conception imply for the high school debate? Well, high school should be accessible for all, primarily for preparing for work. There are introduction of new contents and methods, and language approach is based on criteria of appropriateness, clarity, and adequacy. When I said that I studied Portuguese language, the publishers that made them, and how these publishers participated in the high school debate, I am trying to do this kind of analysis. Is a very simpler version of this kind of analysis, but it's more or less what I'm talking about. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Cristian.